All right, I'm on page 405 of your textbook, and we're going to be looking at doing regressions for square root and cube roots. So I'm doing number 16 and number 17. I've already gone to a to a list and spreadsheets page, and I've entered all of my data. Since they're both named X and Y, I wanted to go ahead and get all my data on there. So the first one I named it X, EX, and Y, and then the second one was just regular X and Y. So I'm going to need a graphs page, so I'm going to insert a graphs page so that I can see. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that I can see my scatter plot. I'm going to go to menu. I'm going to go to menu. I'm going to change my function graph to a scatter plot. And then I'm going to tell it that it's, what did I call it? EX. And then the Y values were called WY. Okay, and then I'm going to press enter. I can't see very many of them because my window is not fit. Remember, I'm on my computer, so it's really easy for me to drag and drop. You can do it too with your little mouse pad, but you can also do a really quick fix. Press menu, go to the window, and use data. So choose zoom data, and then it'll fit your data so that you can see all of it. I don't think looking at the data is going to help you because they oftentimes don't give you enough data to see if it's a square root or a cube root. So I think the best thing to do is just to go ahead and do the regression on it. The regression, remember, needs to be done on a calculator page. So I'm going to go to add a calculator page. I'm going to press menu. I'm going to choose statistics and stat calculations, and then here's where I have to find the regression that I want. This one has a cubic regression, but since I don't know if it's a cubic regression, and notice it does not have a square root regression, so what it does have is this thing right here called a power regression, and the power regression is a form of a square root and a cube root that we can use. So I'm going to pick a power regression. I'm going to choose my EX and I'm going to choose my Y. It's going to graph it on F1 for me, or it's going to paste it on F1 so that if I choose to go graph it to see how good it fits, then I can do that. I'm just going to tab down and press OK. And here's how I know. Here's the power regression. It's going to give me an A value, which is just exactly what A always is. It's a multiplier. And then it's going to give me an exponent. And depending on the value of my exponent is going to tell me which one of the roots it is, whether it's a square root or a cube root. Remember that square roots can be rewritten as to the power of 1/2, and cube roots can be rewritten as to the power of 1/3. Well, this B value right here is 0.5. So that tells me that this equation right here came out to be a square root regression. Because again, my exponent is 0.5. If my exponent is 0.5, I got a square root. If my exponent was 0.3-ish or somewhere around 0.3, then it was a cube root regression. We can go back and look at the graphs page. Oh, that's the wrong page. We can go back and look at the graphs page. Press menu and go back to the function page and go up to F1. It pasted that for me to actual graph it. I press enter, and now we can see that it's a pretty decent fit. We can also go back and look at the value of, I think it's R squared. The closer R squared is to 1, the better the fit is, and this one is really, really close to 1, so that's a pretty good fit. I'm going to do the same thing for the next one right here for the X and the Y value. I'm going to go to my calculator page. I'm going to go through the same process. I'm going to choose menu, probability, no, statistics, stat calculations. I'm going to pick power regression again. This time I'm going to use the X and the Y list. Where is it? There it is. Should be X and Y. And it's going to graph it on F2 for me because I've already got something on F1, so I'm going to say OK. Remember, the other results are still up there. That's the one that's on F1. That's the one that had the exponent of 0.5. This one has an exponent of 0.28, which is pretty close to 3. So this equation right here came out to be more along the lines of a power regression. I did forget to graph it, so I'm going to go back to this one. I'm going to go to Menu, Graph and Edit. I'm going to go back to Scatter Plot, and I'm going to actually go up and see if I can't turn the Scatter Plot 1 off. And then I'm going to go down to Scatter Plot 2. There it is. I'm going to, what did I call it? X and Y. I'm going to press Enter. I do need to go turn that function off, so it did graph them to look different. If you want to make sure you are seeing all of them, just go to Window and fit the Zoom Data. And then if you want to turn that function off right there, go back to your function menu, and let's go up to F1 and turn that off. We've already, here's the F2 right here. They put that on there for us, so we're going to go ahead and turn it on. I think we have to press Enter. There it is. And we can see that's a pretty good fit, but it's not as good as the square root was fitting the other one. So this one is a cube root. It's not graphing the other side of the cube root, but it is graphing this one branch. I really don't know why it's not graphing the other branch, but it is graphing this branch, and we can see that it's a decent fit. Let's go back and look at what our R squared was, 0.89. 0.89 is not, or I'm sorry, 0.80 is not as close to 1 as the 0.99 was on that other one. The other one was 0.99, so this one was obviously a much better fit. But the thing that you need to recognize is that this one came out to be a cube root, whereas this one came out to be a square root. You can do the same thing on Desmos. I've already entered the data. And the difference between Desmos and the calculators that you don't have to switch pages. I entered the data, there's the points. Here's how you do regressions. We're going to do a power regression on this one. So we're going to do Y. I'm going to type in, and we can't just do Y, we have to do Y1 because we're looking at this data. So you just press the 1 after it. You put the little wavy symbol. And then since we're looking for a power regression, we're going to do A, and then we're going to do X1 because we want to use these X values right here. And what did the calculator do? It raised it to the B power. And it gives us values of A and B. And these are probably the exact same values of A and B that the calculator gave us. Notice that this one went ahead and rounded R squared up to 1. It's saying that it's a perfect fit. So a little bit of round off error on that one happening. But that's how you do a power regression, and then based on what the power is how you determine whether it's a square root or a cube root. Okay, I'm just going to click this little thing to turn that off. I'm going to click this to turn that off. I'm going to come down here and turn this one on. This one was the one that the TI Inspire told us was a cube root. So I'm going to go ahead and type this in down here. We're going to do the same thing again, except we're going to do Y2 this time because the data points that we're looking at are the Y2 data points. We're going to do the little wavy line. We're going to do A and then X2 because these data points are coming from X2. And then we're going to raise that to the B power. And when we do that, it tells us this one is a much better fit. I think there's something up with my TI Inspire. Or maybe I did maybe I did a point wrong. But anyway, we do this one, and it shows me that B is 0.33. The other one said it was 0.28. I would guess probably that I entered some data wrong. It's not that big of a deal. It still comes out to be a pretty good fit, but it is a much better fit here, 0.99, than the 0.80 was. But that's how you do regressions.